The alarm on my ship went off so loud that I dropped my cup of coffee. Before I could even stand up, something huge slammed into my cargo hold. The whole ship shook. Metal screamed. Sparks flew across the room. I grabbed the wall to stay on my feet, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My name is Leo Hartley, and I fly a small cargo ship called the Rusty Comet. I carry grain and supplies between quiet stations at the edge of human space. Nothing exciting ever happens on my runs. Until that night. I ran toward the cargo hold, grabbing a fire extinguisher on the way, and found a burned, dented escape pod sitting in the middle of my crates. Steam poured out of a crack in its side. Then the crack opened wider, and something stepped out. She was tall, much taller than me, with smooth skin that shined like dark oil under the lights. She had 4 arms and eyes the color of melted copper. She looked hurt. One of her arms was pressed against her side, and she was breathing hard. "Human," she said. Her voice came out flat and strange, like a machine was helping her speak. "You will kneel before me." I looked at her, then at the smoking pod, then back at her. "I think you need a doctor more than I need to kneel." She stared at me like I had said something impossible. I found out later that no one had ever spoken to her that way in her entire life. Her name, she told me once I got her to my small medical room, was Vesa, and she was the ruling mind of a massive alien group called the Thren. Her people were not like us. Millions of them were connected together, sharing one central mind to guide them. Vesa was that mind. Without her, her people could fall apart. She also told me, through gritted teeth as I cleaned a wound on her arm, that some of her own people had turned against her. They thought she was too curious about smaller species like humans, too soft to lead, so they attacked her ship and forced her to escape. Her pod had drifted through space until it crashed into me. "You should fear me," she said, wincing as I wrapped her arm. "Every record about your kind says you either bow or run." "Well, I'm doing neither. I'm just trying to stop you from bleeding on my floor." She went quiet after that. I gave her a ration bar, the only food I had that wasn't frozen grain. She ate it slowly, watching me the whole time, like she expected me to change my mind about helping her. I did not expect what happened next. Her people, she explained, had a strange rule built into their biology. When their ruling mind was in danger, instinct pulled her toward whoever protected her, whoever did not turn away in fear. That instinct had chosen me. "You cannot leave," I told her the next morning, when I found her sitting outside my sleeping quarters, instead of the guest room I had prepared. "I have a business to run. I can't have an alien empress following me around my ship." "It is not a choice," she said calmly. "My mind has already accepted you as my anchor. I cannot simply walk away, even if I wished to." I groaned and rubbed my eyes. This was not how I planned to spend my week. For the next few days, Vesa stayed close to me no matter where I went. She watched me fix engine parts. She asked endless questions about how humans lived, how we ate, how we slept, why we laughed at strange moments. I started to notice that she was smart, sharper than anyone I had ever met, but she had never once been treated like a normal person. Everyone in her life either worshipped her or feared her. No one had ever just talked to her. On the 6th day, my ship's sensors picked up 3 large shapes approaching fast. My stomach dropped. I knew before she even said anything that they had found her. "Those are Thren warships," Vesa said, standing suddenly, her eyes locked on the screen. "They will not stop until I am gone." "Then we better make sure they don't catch us." "Human, your ship is barely holding together. Those vessels could destroy us without effort." "Yeah, well, this barely holding together ship is mine, and I know every wire and bolt in it. They don't." I ran to the lower deck, pulling open panels I had not touched in months. Buried under old wiring was a piece of equipment I was never supposed to have installed, an old signal scrambler I had bought years ago from a trader who never asked questions. It was risky, illegal in most systems, and exactly what I needed. "What is that device?" Vesa asked, watching me connect wires with shaking hands. That is me buying us some time. I powered up the scrambler just as the first warship came into range. The moment its systems locked onto us, I flipped the switch. A wave of static rippled out from my ship, and every screen on their side would have gone blank for a few precious minutes. It would not stop them for long, but it would be enough to slip past. I pushed the engines harder than they had ever gone, weaving through the gap between the warships before their systems came back online. Alarms blared through my ship as we scraped past one hull, closer than I ever wanted to be. My hands were shaking on the controls, sweat running down my back, but I kept us steady until the ships shrank into tiny dots behind us. When I finally slowed down, my whole body felt weak with relief. I turned to see Vesa staring at me, her forearms braced against the wall, her copper eyes wide. "You should not have been able to do that," she whispered. "Nobody tells us what we can and can't do. That's kind of the whole point of being human." We reached a small station 2 days later, tired, but alive. I got her the medical care she needed, filled out reports that made almost no sense to the confused officer on duty, a woman named Grace who kept asking me to repeat myself. I figured that once Vesa was safe, she would return to her people, and I would go back to my quiet, boring life, hauling grain across the stars. But 2 days after that, I found her sitting in my cargo hold again, eating another ration bar like nothing had changed. "Don't you have a whole empire to lead?" I asked, standing in the doorway. "The rebellion has ended. Loyal members of my mind retook control while I was away. I am no longer needed there today. So you came back here instead." She looked at me for a long moment, her expression softer than I had ever seen it. "You did not kneel. You did not worship me. You did not run in fear. You simply helped me, fed me, and yelled at warships until they stopped working." I could not help but smile a little at that. "I have spent my entire life being feared or worshipped," she continued. "I find that I would rather be liked instead." I looked at her sitting there on my cargo floor, an alien ruler of countless minds, eating a ration bar meant for tired cargo pilots. It was strange, but somehow, it did not feel wrong. "Fine," I said, "but if you're staying, you're helping me carry crates. I'm not doing all the work myself. I am the ruling mind of a vast people, and I'm the only one who didn't bow to you. Grab a crate." She stood up, walked over, and picked up the nearest crate without another word. I laughed for the first time in what felt like weeks, and for a moment, my small tired ship did not feel so quiet anymore. We flew on together after that, past quiet stations and empty stars, an alien queen who had once ruled trillions, now helping a simple pilot carry grain from one dock to another. It was not the life either of us had expected, but somehow, it fit us both just fine.